What's up, YouTube? This is Fate coming at you with a deck profile in my locals this time. And today, instead of doing one of my builds, kind of got bored with that 4 builds in already, I decided to do one of my friend's builds, his Fabled build, which honestly frustrates me a lot whenever I play against it. So if you want to introduce yourself and take us away.
Hello YouTube, my name is Elias, and this is my Fabled deck. I main it as my primary deck, and I've been working on it for quite a while, changing it up. I used to run Tengus in it, in plant format, and now it's just kind of evolved into what it is today. It's going to be changing a lot in the next set, but I like it for right now. This is the main engine of the deck, Fabled Grimro. If you don't know what she does, you discard her while you control a Fabled monster, and you can add any Fabled monster from your deck to your hand. Level doesn't matter, type doesn't matter. She's also the biggest beat stick in the deck with 1700 attack, Light Fiend. Really good card, lots of combos with Cruce. I also run Fabled Kushano. He helps a lot with consistency of the deck, keeps everything going. If you're top decking, you can always just discard a Fabled monster like Cruce to the graveyard and bring back any of your used Fabled monsters like a Grimro, and then have him in your hand to summon and go for a Black Rose Dragon or whatever else have you. Speaking of Fabled Cruce, I run 2 copies, only 2 right now because at the beginning of the game when you don't have any Fabled monsters in the graveyard, she can be a bit of a dead draw, but when she's discarded to the graveyard by any means, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Fabled monster from your graveyard onto the field, including the Synchro monsters, at least the level 4 ones. It's really useful. I run 3, the Fabled Chawa. He's the most important tuner of the deck. He's your biggest discard outlet, gets all of your combos off with Cruce, gets your level 5 synchro plays, gets your level 4 synchro plays, whatever you want. It's very useful. I run 2, the Fabled Ganashia. I was running 3, I might go back to 3, I'm just kind of testing something right now, and I had to make some extra room for the deck.
And I'm just going to apologize to viewers for the glare on the lights. Can't control that.
He's one of the Fabled monsters that gets its effect off of being discarded. If he's discarded by any means, he goes to the graveyard, gets a 200-point attack boost to 1800, so he becomes bigger than Grimro. And he gets banished if he leaves the field after that. But he really fuels your synchro plays, and he's just an overall really good card. It makes it really easy to go into Unicorn. I run 3, the Fabled Cerberus. He's just like Ganashia, except he doesn't get banished. If you discard him, you special summon him, but he's a level 2 tuner. He's also a beast. That's very important in the next section of the deck when we start talking about spells. I run 3, the Fabled Nozuchi. He's a discard outlet. You discard a Fabled monster and special summon him, and then he can summon a level 2 or lower Fabled monster from your deck to your hand, or from your hand to the field, sorry. He's also very important for being a beast, because he works with Obedience School, much like Cerberus. I run 1 White Dragon and 1 Black Dragon. I was running more than 1, but I was running into so many of just copies of it in my hand, and you really only need to get the chain off the 1 time in order to go for game. But this just helps support your synchro plays. Black Dragon's better to draw into first because we're playing more light monsters than we are playing dark. You can banish 1 of the opposing type to special summon it. When it leaves the field, you get the other one, and you can pretty much just play them like Reborn Tengu. They're really good, 1800, 1700, and reverse stats, and they just keep things going. That's why they're here. I run 2 Junk Synchron. I colored on them. It was Halloween, I was in a funny mood, so that's why they look weird. You've got a lot of level 2 monsters in this deck. The ideal play is to have a Chawa in the graveyard, normal summon him, and then get a Doppel Warrior from your hand. and go into Librarian, then go into Formula Synchron, draw a bunch of cards, maybe Quasar, who knows. But he's also a dark monster. He can also go into Frozen Fitzgerald with Nozuchi. I run 2 Doppel Warrior for the reasons I mentioned above. It works well with Junk Synchron, facilitates synchro plays, and gets its effect off of all of the Fabled coming back from the graveyard being discarded. It just helps the deck do what it wants to do, which is synchro like crazy and Quasar the field, or just go for game. It's basically a go for game deck. First turn, whatever. Not a lot of back row. 1 Boost Warrior for that extra level, get that Formula Synchron. Also a target for Reinforced Truth, depending on what you need. Just helps out. And of course, Blackluster Soldier. He doesn't really need much explanation, he's Blackluster Soldier. I run 3 copies of Obedience School. As you can see, it's got a lot of Fabled cards on it. I know it's often used in Raccoon, but it really supports the Fabled family as well, summoning out Nozuchi, Cerberus, and Chawa at the same time. You can immediately go into Ronin Raccoon Sandayu, or the Fabled Unicorn, or if you've got a Ganashia in your hand, you can go into both and make a 2300 token. It just really helps facilitate things. Gets the deck running quick, and a lot of thinning in this card. 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, because I really hate purple. This gets out your Junk Synchron in Reinforcement of the Army, you know what it does. 1 Day of Peace, because gotta go fast, and we're not running a whole lot of protection here. And a Foolish Burial to get that Kushano into the graveyard, or that Doppel Warrior if you need it. Gotta go fast! Phoenix Wing Windblast and Raigeki Break are to help deal with back row or monsters if you really need to. I like one of each. They both have the same basic idea, discard a card and blow something up on the field. Fableds get their effect off of cost, so you will never go -1 by using this. And Reinforced Truth, just to get that Doppel Warrior or that Boost Warrior from your deck to facilitate that big synchro play. Now for the extra deck, I'm running 2 Ronin Raccoon Sandayu. If you can get them both out onto the field at the same time, you can stall, ad infinitum. It's really, they really protect each other well, and it gets over a lot with its cloning effect. Main decked out to Ophion. Formula Synchron, I mean, it's Formula Synchron. This is a synchro deck, it's absolutely a must. 1 The Fabled Unicorn. It's an interesting card. It's got really powerful stats for a level 4 at 2300 attack and 1000 defense points, and if at any point your hand is the same as my hand, all of your effects that you're using to react are going to be negated, as long as it's face up on the field. Now, it has to make it to the field first, so Solemn Warning will stop it. But if you have the same amount of cards in my hand, and I summon something else, your Solemn Warning will get negated. This is basically Royal Decree for the entire field.
Basically one of those cards that I really, really hate facing with a passion.
Yeah, Fabled can really control their hand well, so this will be much more useful than it might appear. It's almost always live, especially with Reckless Greed and Raigeki Break, altering your hand in the middle of your opponent's turn. I run 2 Fabled Region. He's the main draw engine of the deck, and
speaking of cards I hate,
he doesn't give a fuck. I mean, look at him crossing his arms. He's like, what are you going to do about it? Cry more. He lets you draw until you have 2 cards in your hand, or if you've got Librarian on the field at the same time, you're going to draw 3 cards, because the chain goes in reverse. Librarian, then Raging, you draw 2 for Raging, you draw 1 for him, and it's just pretty incredible. You'll go +4 if you used a white or black dragon with a Librarian to make Raging. Speaking of librarian, it's Hyper Librarian. He's a boss. Go read a book. Frozen Fitzgerald. It's a really powerful card. It doesn't care about back row, and I'm really glad that I can run it in this deck. You need a beast and you need a dark synchro monster. Junk Synchron plus Nozuchi is perfect for that. You can discard a card from your hand to the graveyard if he's the only monster on your side of the field when he's destroyed in battle, and he'll be special summoned right back in defense mode. Fabled monsters get their effects off of that, so it works all around. And it's 2,500 at level 5. That's huge.
All this.
Vulcan the Divine gets around BLs, gets around whatever else. Even if he goes back to the extra deck himself, you know, that's really just fine. It's basically a Grand Mole that you don't have to run in your main deck.
And like I said in one of my earlier videos, return power is underrated. Don't overlook it.
Black Rose Dragon. It's Black Rose Dragon. My favorite thing to do with it is end the field with a Hyper Librarian and a Formula Synchron and just wait for my opponent to try to take their turn. Before they leave their main phase, anything they've got, boom. I love when they set 5 back row while I've got Hyper Librarian and Formula on the field, because that's all just going down, and the look on their face is delicious. Ancient Sacred Wyvern is a win condition in and of itself, especially with so many people running Upstart Goblin giving you that 30 points of 1,000 life points. If you're 3,000 over your opponent, you win. If you have 8,000 life points and your opponent has 5,000, technically 2,900, this will have more attack than they have life points. It'll have 6,100. It gains the difference between your life and your opponent, and all it requires is a light tuner. It's really powerful, but it weakens if you have less life points than your opponent. Also notable is you can pay 1,000 to bring it back if it's destroyed in battle, but it's usually not getting destroyed in battle. This thing goes up to 7,000 like nothing. I mentioned BLs earlier. He's easily summonable with Junk Synchron. All he needs is a Dark Tuner, and he's one of the best Synchro monsters in the game to date. Stardust Dragon. One of my personal favorite dragons ever, and absolutely necessary if you're going to run his whole line. I run a Shooting Star Dragon and a Shooting Quasar Dragon. These are all really easy to make, and really he's just in here in case you need to protect yourself or you want to go into Shooting Star, but Quasar is, of course, the primary objective. You don't have to go into Quasar, there are other ways to win with this deck, and I didn't want to make just a Quasar stall deck, but when this hits the field, it's generally game.
Alright, thank you very much for your deck profile. As always, comment, rate, subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching.
Bye!